My family, hi, welcome to yet another one. So we have some urgent prophecies touching Russia.
I'm seeing Russian troops coming into Venezuela,
South Africa, Cuba, and all those other countries. So let's get into it. But before that, here's what we actually got from the news.
Anything to say before we get to the press?
What does Cuba have to do to avoid the same fate as Venezuela? What does Cuba have to
Well, Cuba's in bad shape. Cuba relied on Venezuela for oil and for money, and nobody really knows what's going to happen with Cuba. They're doing very poorly. They're really third world all the way, and we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, and I would say Marco fits very solidly into that category. And I might ask you to say a few words about, we were discussing it before, Cuba is a very different, they don't have energy, they don't have oil, but they would live off of the oil from Venezuela, and what they do have is very strong people and very powerful people militarily, and they would protect the people running Venezuela, and they would take in a lot of money from Venezuela. Now they don't have that. They won't be taking in any money. So
President Zelensky said that he was watching with the rest of the world as you made this order to go and capture Nicolas Maduro. And he said, if that's how it works with dictators, then the United States knows what to do next. Sounds like he wants you to go and capture Vladimir Putin. Would you ever order a mission to go and capture Vladimir Putin?
Well, I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think we're going to have I've always had a great relationship with him. I'm very disappointed. I settled 8 wars. I thought this would be in the middle of the pack, or maybe one of the easier ones.
So we can actually see that tensions are rising and building up, concerning the United States of America and Russia. Well, Brother Brandon had this to say concerning what we are to expect in the future and things we need to pray for or pray against.
I'm seeing Russian troops coming into Venezuela. How is that possible, Father, with how stretched they are with Ukraine? There's not very many. They say they're trying to keep peace. They're trying to keep peace. They want to come in and they want to be another party to keep peace for their interest. They have interest. They look like our soldiers. They're coming up from Brazil. They're coming over by Brazil. Up here in this corner. And they're coming down like this. I see them up by Brazil. Up here. Yeah, they're going to come through Brazil. A turf war involving Russia, concerning Venezuela, and it's concerning Cuba. And now Cuba is involved with this. They're trying to devise a plan. I see our people on the ground going in and getting these drug lords out. They're going on the ground. Their boots on the ground. Our people are on the ground right now, taking out key targets. It's like an invasion. I see coke everywhere. I see coke plants. It's being blown up. Like, I see fire. I see smoke. I see coke powder burning. Our Marines, our people are going through, and I see them taking them out. Ground invasion. People that are highly trained, like Navy SEALs. Taking these people and trying to get rid of these labs. But I see Russia coming from the east over here, and I see there's probably 10,000 of them coming through Brazil into Venezuela. They want to be their own, like a peacemaker. Like we're coming to regulate. Like they're going to making sure that they have a say, not just America. It's about the oil. But Cuba will go along with Russia. Those aren't all Russian soldiers. They're Cuban. They're not all. They're just a couple of like combat, like really trained men. But Cuba knows the territory. That's a very clear, very dominant vision.
And before I share with you what he had to say about the president of Cuba, this is what we actually have in the news concerning the United States of America and Cuba. And also those in South Africa, there's something he had to say about South Africa's involvement.
Cuba survive without Venezuelan oil? I don't see how it can.
Can who survive?
Cuba.
No, Cuba totally relies on Venezuela for money and for oil, and they give Venezuela protection. That was always the deal. They're very tough. They're good soldiers. They got wiped out, as you know.
Yeah.
3 days ago, wiped out. I don't want to even say how many, but they got wiped out. But Cuba gives protection to Venezuela, and Venezuela gives Cuba money through oil.
Is the Cuban government the Trump administration's next target, Mr. Secretary? Very quickly.
Well, the Cuban government is a huge problem. Yeah, the Cuban government is a huge problem. First of all,
so is that a yes?
Cuba, but I don't think people fully appreciate. I think they're in a lot of trouble. Yes, I'm not going to talk to you about what our future steps are going to be and our policies are going to be right now in this regard, but I don't think it's any mystery that we are not big fans of the Cuban regime, who, by the way, are the ones that were propping up Maduro. His entire, internal security force, his internal security apparatus is entirely controlled by Cubans. One of the untold stories here is how, in essence, you talk about colonization, because I think you said Dulce Rodriguez mentioned that. The ones who have sort of colonized, at least inside the regime, are Cubans. It was Cubans that guarded Maduro. He was not guarded by Venezuelan bodyguards. Right. He had Cuban bodyguards. In terms of their internal intelligence, who spies on who inside to make sure there are no traitors, those are all Cubans.
Howard, you've seen it. That Cuba is ready to fall. You know? Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they can hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
You were just talking about Cuba and what could come next there. Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
Yeah.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down.
The president tweeted today, Cuba gets no more money, no more oil. The CIA assessment is that regime in Havana is not necessarily in peril, even though the president's saying they are. What are you hearing?
Well, look, I represent the city of Miami, the heart of the Cuban exile community. And those words are like magical. It's been 65 years, Cuba is really a center of power for our enemies, Iran, Russia, China, and now I think they're getting the memo, and Cuba, it's hanging by a thread, I should say, because the threat that Cuba has represented to the United States has been immense. They have no water, they have no electricity, they have no food, they had nothing. So if you think that Maduro is weak, Cuba is even weaker, and now they do not have one drop of oil coming from Venezuela, so that could be the beginning of the end.
What kind of deal are you looking for from Cuba?
You're going to find out pretty soon. We're talking to Cuba, and you'll find out pretty soon. One of the things I want taken care of, and one of the groups I want taken care of, are the people that came from Cuba that were forced out or left under duress, and they're great citizens of the United States right now. You have a lot of people forced out of Cuba unfairly, so we're going to take care of, most importantly right now, we're going to take care of the people that came from Cuba that are American citizens or in our country.
They want to take out the oil refineries. They don't want America getting that money. Because if that's what they're there for, do you understand? We'll eliminate them wanting to be here. It costs them more money to start it up. They're upset because it's about the drugs to them and their livelihood. It's about big money and drugs. But it's not just about America's drugs. This is Europe's drugs. It's like a highway, a cocaine highway, trafficking highway that goes all throughout Europe, goes through America. I see it going into Canada. I see it going into parts of Asia. It's spread. This is a cocaine highway. There's even parts of Africa affected by this. Oh, for sure. Africa is highlighted very, very much so. South Africa. It spreads like veins. And they take this drugs and they're bringing it in and they're doing this. There's interest of drug money everywhere. But the man of over Cuba is down under the ground. The man in Cuba is down under the ground. I see him in the side of a cliff. The man in Cuba has a light on in the ground. And I'm seeing him, he has a blue shirt on. He's under the ground and he has soldiers all around him. It looks like it's the side of a hill. Now, I don't know if Cuba has mountains or not, but it's like a mountain. He's inside of a mountain in Cuba. Now, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a mountain. I see a mountain, and he has a base, a bunker in the side of a mountain. It's on this, okay, so if you look at this, the island, it's on the side facing America. Because I'm looking at it, I can see this bunker. He's hiding down there. He's on high alert. I see soldiers all around him. He has a lot of soldiers all around him. They have Cuban colors on. And he's communicating to them that they want to take their people and their military to go over and through Brazil come over onto Venezuela and cause jungle warfare against our troops. You hear me? It's very clear. It's very, very, very detailed vision. They want to send their people through the back way, and I see drug lords. Oh, it's all connected. If I'm missing it, it could be metaphor. I don't even know if Cuba has a mountain, so I'm just telling you. If they don't have a mountain, don't sit there and throw stones at me. I'm trying to tell you I see this man in the side of a mountain. So I'm just telling you what I see. This is very serious concerning America, concerning Cuba. Cuba's very, very aggressive because they have Russia backing them. And I see Russian troops in this. And I'm trying to tell you, we got to pray. I'm looking into Ukraine and Russia again. I see an uprising, an upticking in war. They're really ticked off about Venezuela, y'all. Russia is very angry about Venezuela and what happened. And that peace and all that was trying to be negotiated and all that, and I told you he had his cards, he is really ticked off. Putin. He is not happy. I'm looking at Putin. They want Kiev. And they're going to get out, they're going to try to do some of the Zelensky. His days are numbered. Zelensky days are numbered. Zelensky day is numbered. You're going to hear it on the news. A puppet government's coming in.
So, my family, I just found this interesting. I just want to hear your thoughts and what the Holy Spirit is ministering to you concerning all these things that are happening. What do we really need to be praying for, and who do we really need to be praying for, and what do we really need to be praying against? So, meet you in the next one. As always, like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless you.
Remember what I told you. Cuba, Venezuela, those two countries, for sure, the Lord said mules are coming from there. And there is alliances with Mexico concerning the cartel and major corruption with finances that involve the Mexican government. And this involved the Santa Maria. And it was a dark witchcraft over the nation. And the Lord said, I'm going to shake these nations, and I'm going to bring a great revival in Venezuela and Cuba, and I'm going to liberate my people just like I did to the children of Israel. If you will just believe, the greatest revival we've ever seen is about to take place in South America.